Good evening, I'm Adventure Argonaut. This is the Golden News. I bring you the news from last week and from today, yesterday. But first, let's see if all my streams are working. And I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I am back to check on my son just as I started the stream, of course. And my wife is in the shower, so it's gonna take a few minutes until she comes back. But my son is sleeping. He was making some noise. But anyways, the streams seem functional. Streams are working, so let's go and see the news. All right. So the first story is, of course, Elon Musk's accusations of Donald Trump with that, he did delete his messages and stuff, but still the damage has been done, as they say. And it's interesting. I will say it's interesting. Nobody came on top in this conflict between Trump and Elon Musk, even though now it seems to have subsided. So here is what Elon Musk said a few days ago, whenever it was. Um, Time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump. And yeah, Elon deleted this post, but he can't undo what he has done. Yeah. So now his last post I've seen him interacting with Trump, he's been, trying to be buddy buddy again. But this, of course, would sour the relationship between the two of them. And of course, this has been very divisive among the MAGA people and all that. But there's many stories. So let's just see many different comments. So like, yeah, this Chief Trumpster said Elon has deleted the post. As I stated, there's most likely isn't anything with Epstein and Trump since Deep State would have leaked it. Well, no, because the Epstein was a blackmailer for the Deep State, as it were. So, like, if like this is so like a bad argument, and I'm not saying Trump definitely necessarily had anything to do with Epstein aside from what we already know that's in the public, but it's like this argument is really bad, claiming that the deep state or the Democrats would have leaked the Epstein files if Trump was in them, because Trump isn't the only one. Like, it's the whole freaking deep state, or most, I, I I guess, at least, well, the tip of the iceberg at least. So Trump wouldn't be the only one destroyed by this information, assuming Trump is in the files. So yeah, in terms of Trump, he never forgets. Don't expect to see Elon welcome back or even spoken to by Trump. Blah blah blah. Elon's crash out in public was a horrible mistake. Well, yeah, like I do think, like, tactically speaking, for Elon himself, this wasn't a good move. But the elephant in the living room that many of these Donald Trump sycophants don't want to address is that why, like, if Trump is clean, if there is no let's say, if there is, this is smoke without fire, like, why hasn't the Epstein files, why haven't they been released, even though Pam Bondi and Cash Patel were saying they're gonna be released long time ago and all that stuff. Like, why hasn't um Trump's administration done anything to bring those into justice that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein trafficked underage people to? Like, why isn't Trump doing anything? Like, even if Trump himself is not um, complicit in these crimes, many people around him are, and it seems to affect him. Let's just put it that way. And here is some comment from Trump. I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done so months ago. This is one of the greatest bills ever presented to Congress. It's a record cut in expenses, $1.6 trillion, and the biggest tax cut ever given. If this bill doesn't pass, there will be a 68% tax increase and things far worse than that. I didn't create this mess, I'm just here to fix it. This puts our country on a path to greatness, make America great again. So it is. So one reason, I guess, why Elon Musk stated this, that Trump is in the Epstein files, is that there's the greatest bill or whatever, the great bill in Congress or wherever that's supposedly increases government spending instead of cutting it back, that which is something that Elon Musk wanted to do. So that's one reason behind his spurg out, as it were. And okay, Jake Shields here says, imagine being MAGA right now trying to come up with excuses as to why Trump won't or shouldn't release the Epstein files. Exactly. Like I'm not. Honestly not sure what to think. Whether Trump himself was complicit in the crimes that Epstein and people around him were guilty of, but certainly Trump hasn't done much to bring those people to justice, to actually drain the swamp. Like it's been like it's his second term, and in the first term he didn't do much to drain the swamp, and you can say he tried his best, but even if that's all he can do, this is still not great, even if his intentions are good, if he doesn't accomplish much. And here is and okay, there's the argument that Elon Musk was pissed off by the big bill, whatever greatest bill, that beautiful bill, whatever it's called, that it takes away the electronic vehicle mandate stuff. But Elon Musk says it's false. This bill was never shown to me even once and was passed in the dead of night so fast that almost no one in Congress could ever read it. So, but anyways, and he didn't care about the. He was against like the electronic vehicle mandate. So that's a fake excuse as far as I know. And when asked if he was in the Epstein files that Elon Musk claimed, President Trump gave no comment.
Thank you very much. Very nice. Yes. We're going to have a little discussion now, very private. And I just want to thank you all for being here. And thank you very much, Megan. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, in response to Elon Musk claiming about the Epstein files, Attorney General, any response to Elon Musk's claim?
Good job.
Mr. President, any response to Musk on the Epstein files?
Thank you very much. Very nice.
So yeah, he didn't respond at all to that question, and of course, it's it's normal in these circumstances that he doesn't say anything. But then again, like if he was not in the files, he could easily just say, "Nope, I'm not there. It has nothing to do with me." But like, of course, there is the possibility that he's mentioned in the files, but perhaps in a fairly neutral context. So in that sense, he can't simply say that I wasn't there, I'm not there. So, but if he were to say that, it would be technically a lie, which would come to bite him in the ass later on, possibly. But still, doesn't look so good for him though. And Elon Musk plans to withdraw $100 million previously allocated to support Republicans. A Musk aide says he's going nuclear and is open to backing Democratic candidates if needed. Like I think he's backtracking from this, but we don't really know. we will have to see how Musk situation develops. Like maybe he's gonna burn out entirely, or maybe he has a plan, or maybe he's just gonna maybe they're just trying to forget about all this whole episode. And Trump affirms I'm on Ukraine's side, according to the AF Post at least, which just yeah, I wouldn't be on Ukraine's. Like, yeah, sure, the people, I feel bad for the people, but not Ukraine itself. The political entity is run by crooks like him, and of course, being a puppet of America for a long time. But whatever. Wait, there's okay, and Cat Turd is this, pro-Trump boomer very much so, and I'm not. I'm trying to be neutral. I'm not trying to be pro or against especially in this issue. But however, most of the influencers or ex are rich kids and they've never done anything else. I'm just an old working class country boy who got lucky. And one thing about us old country boys is you can't bullshit us. The last few years, I become friends with Cash Patel and Dan Bongino. Over those years, they've never lied to me once. I've got a good bullshit detector, and I trust both of them 100%. There's so many frauds and liars in our government, but trust me, they're not two of them. So talking about them saying that Epstein totally killed himself, and yeah, so he's joining in on that bullshit. And the FBI director Cash, trust me, bro, Patel is urging Qatar on his official FBI account. This is a sad state of affairs for America. Yeah, yeah, like sharing cat shit's comments to defend himself. So you're telling me a guy named Cat Shit who's a boomer wants me to trust him? Yeah, well, at least his name is not bullshit. And yeah, and also Musk said this. I will apologize profusely as long as there is a full dump of the Epstein files. And yeah, why do you delete this, Elon Musk? Yeah, because he's still, you know, I do think that it seems that Elon Musk's motivations to going nuclear, they're a bit. He was sort of like a bitching out. But still, what he said, there's some merit to it that at least should be considered. Like, why isn't Trump administration doing anything to expose all the threads leading away from Epstein? And like this, there's just some I don't know who this guy George saying Trump is not in the Epstein files. It's like, how do you know? Like, how do you know, George? Like, are you just, because you like Trump and you don't want to think negative things about him? Are you saying that because of that? Because if that's the case, it's just, cultist mentality. And okay, this one Elon Musk hasn't deleted. So the people have spoken. A new political party is needed in America to represent 80% in the middle. Exactly 80% of people agree. The America Party. And Elon Friend is pointing out, don't accept foreign lobby money, please. No member of this party should have an APAC guy. Well, yeah, in that case, this party sounds like a good idea if that's true. Well, I don't know. It sounds like the midwit party if it's the 80% in middle. It's like, sure, I agree with the sentiment of, shaking up American politics that, because the two parties are almost the same in many respects, but whatever. We'll see if Musk has forgotten all about that. Um, and okay, here Viva Fry is saying that in the voice of Morgan Freeman, it was at that time that Elon Musk learned about the legal concept of defamation through implication. That's relate. He's commenting on the accusation that Trump is in the Epstein files, and Elvin Friend points out people pretending Elon is going to be in some kind of defamation lawsuit over this is hilarious. Trump would have to release the files, but he won't. Yeah, exactly. A new MAGA firmware patch just dropped from Devon Stack. President Trump is not a child predator. Do you really think the Biden DOGE would have sat on those claims? Um, So yeah, just a comment from Elon Musk saying Trump is in the files. What the fuck, Elon? We all know if he actually was in the Democrats would have released them immediately. And if that were true, Nick, then DOG would have wheeled it out in 2024. You're smarter than this. No, this guy is so fucking midwit. And if there was anything incriminating of Trump, Biden and friends would have made it public by now. No, it's like if it implicates everybody else, they're not gonna do it because it's gonna shut down the whole ball game if it really truly shows that all the people involved in Epstein's crimes. You know, everybody blackmailed by him, and everybody like are doing some heinous stuff with him. Like they wouldn't like. It's not like it is like it is a ball game. Like there's the Democrats and the Republicans, and even many of the mainline Republicans may not like Trump, but they want the game to continue. And if they were to do something like this, the whole ball game would be shut down. They still want the game to happen, but they just want to be the winners in the ball game. Um, okay, there's David Schoen, who was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. He says, I was hired to lead Jeffrey Epstein's defense as his criminal lawyer 9 days before he died. He sought my advice for months before that. I can say authoritatively, unequivocally, definitely that he had no information to hurt President Trump. I specifically asked him. It's like, okay, well, do you trust him? Sure, trust, you know, trust me, bro. Is that really like what he said? Like maybe Epstein lied to him. Who knows? And yeah, then Trump should have released the unredacted Epstein's files right now. Why hasn't he? He's been in office 5 months. And and also, like some people pointed out that this sounds a bit like it might be, violating his oath of, privacy or whatever with the client. Like, of course, the client is dead, at least officially. Um, So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's legally allowed to say that if it's true, but still, it's like yeah, need more than just few words on Twitter to trust him. Okay, and there's Devon Stack has some background information on Trump. Not saying this is all true, but let's see what he has to say. There seems to be a lot of people that think the only evidence that points to Trump's involvement in the Epstein affair is a tweet from Elon, so I decided to lay out a few things that many are not aware of. Trump and Epstein were well documented friends for nearly 2 decades, from the late 1980s to early 2000s, hanging out in elite social circles in New York and Palm Beach. Their association is obvious in numerous photographs, including Mar-a-Lago events and in entries obtained in Epstein's Black Book, which listed 16 phone numbers for Trump. Trump himself described Epstein in a 2002 New York Magazine interview as a terrific guy and a lot of fun to be with, noting it is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, but many of them are on the younger side. This means that Trump at minimum was aware of Epstein's behavior and did not distance himself from Epstein until his legal troubles became public. Epstein told Michael Wolff in an interview that he was Donald's closest friend for 10 years, a claim backed up by their frequent, well-documented interactions from hanging out at Epstein's Manhattan mansion to partying at Mar-a-Lago. A video 1992 shows Trump and Epstein laughing together, pointing out women on the dance floor at a party in Mar-a-Lago with Ghislaine Maxwell in attendance. Defenders of Trump argue that he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, citing a supposed incident where Epstein was removed for inappropriate behavior. They claim this is proof that Trump, after several years of association with Epstein, finally figured out what Epstein was up to. This narrative stems from a 2019 statement by Trump's team after the Epstein affair became national news. That is the only evidence that this ever even happened. The claim lacks corroboration from any other source, and no police reports or any other accounts confirm it ever happened. What is documented, however, is a dispute they had over a land deal. The two competed to purchase the Maison Lamity, a Palm Beach mansion owned by Abe Grossman that went into bankruptcy. Epstein initially bid $37 million, but Trump outbid him, securing the property for $41 million. Reports, including those from Palm Beach Post, detail that it was Epstein, not Trump, who was furious, believing Trump used insider connections to win the deal. This dispute aligns with the timeline of their apparent rift as their social interactions dwindled after 2004. Multiple women have accused Trump of sexual misconduct tied to Epstein's activities going back to the 1990s. One accuser, identified as Jane at Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, testified that Epstein introduced her to Trump at Mar-a-Lago when she was 14. Another woman, Stacey Williams, alleged that in the 1990s Epstein brought her to Trump Tower where Trump groped her while Epstein watched, describing it as a twisted game. Williams received a postcard from Trump afterwards, which was published in The Guardian. Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's brother, stated in a 2009 deposition that Trump flew on Epstein's plane numerous times. Trump has acknowledged using Epstein's plane at least once, claiming it was a non-commercial flight from Florida to New York. Jeffrey Epstein's longtime pilot Larry Wysowski testified during Ghislaine Maxwell's 2021 sex trafficking trial that he remembered Donald Trump as a frequent passenger on Epstein's private plane known as the Lolita Express. Alan Dershowitz, who defended Epstein in 2008 plea deal, also represents Trump. Dershowitz himself faced allegations from Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre, who claimed she was forced to have sex with him despite this Trump hired him anyway. And Virginia Giuffre, she just died like a few months ago or something. She was in an accident and then supposedly committed suicide, something like that. And Ken Starr, another Epstein lawyer involved in the 2008 deal, also joined Trump's impeachment defense team. Trump inexplicably appointed the completely unqualified Alex Acosta as Secretary of Labor in 2017. He had no background in labor, but he was a U.S. attorney in Miami and oversaw Epstein's 2008 sweetheart plea deal, which allowed Epstein to plead guilty to two state prostitution charges, serve only 13 months with work release privileges, and avoid federal sex trafficking charges. The Miami Herald called the deal one of the most lenient sentences for a serial sex offender in U.S. history and was ruled illegal in 2019 for violating victims' rights. Trump appointed William Barr as Attorney General in 2019, shortly before Epstein's death in federal custody. Barr's father, Donald Barr, hired Epstein as a teacher at Dalton School in the 1970s, despite Epstein's lack of qualifications, the first step in Epstein's rise from a nobody to elite circles. Epstein then dies by suicide, quote unquote, in August 2019, while in federal custody in a facility overseen by Trump's Justice Department. Barr publicly defended the suicide ruling, as did Trump in an interview with Tucker Carlson, and now joined by the Trump-appointed heads of the FBI, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Trump's former mentor Roy Cohn is considered the proto-Epstein. He was known for his ties to organized Jewish crime and blackmail schemes, was accused of using compromising information to influence powerful figures just like Epstein. It's no wonder that Trump would be comfortable hanging out with his replacement. But the Democrats would have released the files, quote unquote. Epstein's network implicated figures on both sides of the aisle, including Democrats like Bill Clinton, not to mention powerful donors to both parties. Then, of course, there are the obvious ties to Israel that both parties seem to perfectly happy to cover up, even if it involves presidential assassinations, attacks on U.S. naval vessels like USS Liberty, and mass casualty terror attacks. The Epstein files released under Trump's administration, Phase 1, were heavily redacted with no new revelations. Trump's appointees claim they are having trouble even tracking down the files. Even if Democrats wanted to go on an absurd suicide mission and torpedo the whole thing, implicating themselves and Israel, there's not even a clear indication of who would have access to what. The ruling class, even under Democratic administrations, prioritize institutional stability over releasing files that could implicate numerous elites, destabilizing public trust in the system. Continuity of power reigns supreme and always takes priority. If you don't understand this and look at politics like a football game, you're not going to make it. Yeah, basically what I said. This is not exhaustive and doesn't even include the endless ties, including familiar. Trump has the Jewish organized crime and the Israeli government. I've done a whole stream that's called Trump and the Jews, and you can find on Rumble at Recipit Shoot. Okay, so yeah, haven't seen his stream on that, but anyways, it's just something worth considering at least. Not saying everything he says is accurate, but anyways, what else do we have here? And there was it's reported that Elon Musk and Scott Bessent got into a physical altercation while he was still in the White House. I don't know who is Scott Bessent, but he's his, I don't know, Elon Musk's rival, clearly. So Scott said, "You're a fraud, you're a total fraud," Bannon said in an interview. Musk then rammed his shoulder into Bessent's rib cage like a rugby player, Bannon said, and Bessent hit him back. Multiple people stepped in to break up the scrum as the two men reached the National Security Advisor's office, and Musk was shuffled out of the West Wing. President Trump heard about it and said, "This is too much," Bannon said. Okay. It's interesting. I don't know, maybe it happened, maybe Musk even had a reason for it, or maybe he was just, couldn't handle his emotions, or or maybe this is just to tarnish his name. I don't know. And Russia offers political asylum to Elon Musk over Trump feud, per Reuters. Interesting. And this Green Lives Matter says, "I'm starting to think that maybe he didn't get punched by his son." Yeah, because Elon Musk has the black eye that supposedly was caused by his son. Yeah, that happened just before DOGE was shut down, right? Or maybe did it come from the fight with Besant? What was his name? Yeah, Besant. I don't know. Anyway, everyone's saying if Donald J. Trump was in the Epstein list, the Democrats would have released files. The Democrats are also on the list. You guys still believe it's Democrats versus Republicans? Honestly, can't believe you guys are still with this retarded in 2025. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, basically this some smart guy says. And yeah, here, Cat Third Army doesn't care who you are. If you attack Trump, you attack us. I've had enough of this shit today. So yeah, this is like cultist behavior, and I don't know if Cat Third believes in Trump this blindly or not, but I do think some of his followers do, and like I think he said later that he sort of softened his comment that accused Trump of being a pedo, although technically it's not necessarily a pedo if he little teenagers and not little children, like it's illegal and all that, but there's a difference. But anyways, this is cult still this cultist behavior that and sure, Trump has been accused of all sorts of false things, but there is some merit at least to Elon Musk's accusations. Like they might be wrong in the end, but at least they warrant having a look at. Like maybe there is something behind the allegations. And yeah, there's this Elon's crash out was worse than we thought. Grab your popcorn. Yeah, so Musk had a physical altercation with Besant at White House before public feud with Trump. Trump called Musk a big time drug addict. Okay, this is Thomas Massey. It's insincere for Speaker Johnson to insinuate Elon Musk is against the big beautiful bill because it doesn't benefit his company specifically. Musk is a true America First entrepreneur who could have had much more comfortable existence and a higher net worth by sitting on the sidelines of politics, but he cares about this country, so he got involved. Blah blah blah. So when he helped cut government waste, he watched his dealerships get firebombed. He stood up for free speech by sponsoring a social media platform, and in return, the Biden administration brought half a dozen bogus cases against him. He provided rural broadband that politicians continually failed to provide with endless taxpayer boondoggles He revolutionized automobiles after conventional car manufacturers got bailed out for their failures, and he gave our astronauts way to the space station. Blah blah blah. So yeah, he's just basically based mass is defending Elon Musk, which is interesting because I wasn't be I wasn't expecting him to go all out. But of course Trump hates Massey, and at least at that point in time, Musk hated Trump too, and vice versa. So I guess it makes sense for him to ally himself with Musk. And some politicians get into politics to enrich themselves. Maybe that's why they can't imagine someone would judge a bill based on what's good for the country instead of what's good for their wallets. This article from December shows Elon was it in it for the EV from the electronic vehicle tax credits. So yeah, Musk calls for ending electric vehicle tax credit. We should get rid of all the credits. So yeah, he is not butthurt over that. Whatever he is butthurt over, it's not the EV tax credit getting rid of them. The big beautiful bill contains provision banning state and local governments from regulating AI. It's worse than you think. It would make it clearer for corporations to get zoning variances so massive AI centers could be built in close proximity to residential areas. Yeah, it's like the idea of regulating AI or not regulating. I think like it's sort of damned if you don't, damned if you do. Like of course, like if the government regulates AI, it's easily gonna neuter the AI to make it um, useless or borderline useless. But then again, if you don't regulate it at all and let it go haywire, then we're gonna get Skynet or something. So yeah, I don't know. There's no easy answer to this question, this problem. And Democrats account tweeted, "Kill the bill and release the Epstein files." Hillary, what are they doing? Yeah, it's interesting that the Democrats, for once, like I do think this was a brilliant move for a moment from Elon Musk. It even made the Democrats to want you to release the Epstein files, but I guess they forgot about all about it already. Um, okay, and this is Elon Musk's kid. Is his name X, which is so this platform. Anyway, so why'd you let him watch your kid then? He Blair White is referring to Elon Musk's post or tweet accusing Trump of being in the Epstein files. Once again, like whatever Trump did, I don't think he's. Elon Musk argued that Trump was into 5-year-old boys or however old he is. It's more likely that he would be into 15-year-old girls or something. And there's difference. Like it's still immoral and illegal and stuff, but there's still a big difference between 5-year-olds and 15-year-olds. I'm not gonna go into the biology any further, but and also maybe at this point when this picture, like I don't think Trump was babysitting, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was actually babysitting, but this is clearly like they were just together. It's just more like a photo shoot. I guess both for Trump to try to appeal to kids, even though he doesn't really seem to like the kid, and for Elon Musk, like, oh, my kid is playing with Donald Trump. I don't know, but it's like a publicity shoot more than actually babysitting him. And there's cameras, so cameras around. Like only Biden can have the chutzpah to actually do something while the cameras are rolling to kids. Let's just put it that way. And also, maybe at this point when this was taken, Elon Musk didn't know, assuming he knows something about the Epstein files, that maybe he didn't know then yet. So this argument is bad. And I don't want to defend Elon Musk too much, but it's just these arguments are more like fanboyish to Trump that don't make any sense. And now talking about Kash Patel and his Epstein file stuff. So Kash Patel says Epstein Island videos of elites committing crimes is speculation, and the FBI has gone through all the footage. So supposedly there isn't any. So how? Why was Ghislaine Maxwell even convicted? Like, what was her crime then? What evidence was there against her? Because she trafficked children to nobody, and there's no video. So I guess she was framed, right? Yeah, I'm not lying. You mean to tell me that Ghislaine Maxwell went to prison for trafficking children to no one, and there's no evidence of children being trafficked? Sorry, Cash. I think you're blatantly lying. Yeah. And yeah, FBI Director Cash Patel says no, Epstein's tapes exist. Zero evidence of blackmail tapes. Do you believe he's telling the truth? No. And why is Cash Patel claiming there are no videos on children being sexually assaulted on Epstein Island? Days after Pam Bondi told us that the FBI had thousands of hours of videos of children being sexually assaulted by Epstein and his clients.
Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going.
Yeah, so who here is lying? And well, my take is both are lying. Like they're telling lies and half truths. So like I don't know. Like I'm actually like getting the feeling that these two people have no idea about the veracity of what goes on in Epstein files or Epstein tapes or anything like that. They're more like actors who are meant to give us something to discuss over on the internet and speculate. That's the impression I get from these two people. They're just fucking actors, front men and women. And yeah, the FBI director Kash Patel says no, the Epstein Island video showing elites committing crimes, and if there were, you'd see it. Joe Rogan asked the question millions have been screaming for years: is there a video from the island? Cash's answer blunt: not of what you want. If I had it, I'd be the first guy to bring the case hard and fast. He claims they've reviewed everything under lawful access. They've combed through the files, and he says is nothing. Not the kind of bombshell the public has imagined. No smoking gun, no list, no footage of the world's powerful doing unspeakable. And for those who suspect the cover-up, Cash insists he's not the one. I got here 100 days ago. I can't be held to account for 20 years of failures. He says some tapes may never have existed, others may have been destroyed, but if you're hoping the FBI has an ace up its sleeve, the message is clear. Don't hold your breath. So at best, he's incompetent. Like, okay, there's some truth to it that he's been there only, few months in that job, but I don't know. He was supposed to release at least, release the Epstein files if he's not doing it. So I don't know. He's bullshitting. I don't really want to analyze too deeply the levels of bullshit. So FBI won't release certain Jeffrey Epstein videos because they don't want to re-victimize the woman, per director Kash Patel. Okay, this sounds like moving goalposts. Uh, yeah. And FBI Director Kash Patel says some Epstein files likely destroyed, and after combing through files, no significant bombshells exist. Well, here it comes. Fell for it again. Award. Make some MAGA hat. Fell for it again. Fell for it again. Yes. Like maybe you should like. I'm not saying that Trump and his whole administration is necessarily 100% crooked, but certainly there are things that should be addressed, some things that you should be very unhappy with. Like, there are some things that they have done well, but many things they haven't. Anyways, April 2025, there are tens of thousands of videos and it's all with little kids. And then June, 2 months later, the bombshell video from the island that you want is not there. Yeah. What the fuck is going on? If I was a MAGA hat wearing dude, I'd be really pissed. And Epstein and Trump's former lawyer Alan Dershowitz says Trump should pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Certainly, she should get commutation. She was in part a victim of Epstein. Well, yeah, she should get a pardon because she clearly didn't no crime. There's no evidence of her committing crimes, though. No, people she trafficked children to, if you believe the authorities. So yeah, Leonardo Joni saying, "I'm sick of anti-Semitic smears here. Just because a lawyer who happens to be Jewish wants Trump to pardon a sex trafficker who also happens to be Jewish doesn't mean this has anything to do with being Jewish. And besides, what were those kids wearing?" Yeah. All right, but that's enough of these Elon Musk allegations. But yeah, he's retracted his things, and now he seems to be trying to be more buddy buddy with Trump, at least online. But the and yeah, it does seem like Elon Musk was sort of just acting emotionally, but he might be an emotional bitch. But is he wrong? You tell me. And then Doge to use Palantir. So this scrying program or this spying program. The Supreme Court has ruled that DOGE can access data held by the Social Security Administration, including personal information, social security numbers, and medical, financial, and immigration records. DOGE seeks to feed this data into AI developed by Palantir to process and centralize Americans' information across federal departments. The agency recently partnered with the tech firm to build an mega API for IRS data and has expressed interest in centralizing data across the rest of the government. Palantir's proprietary software Foundry will be used as the interface to access and analyze American sensitive information. So it's just so the ruling passed by 6-3 margin in the Supreme Court, but what perplexes me here is that I thought Doge was shut down. Does Doge still exist, or is this old news or something? Like this is sort of confusing to me. But anyway, there's more Palantir information here. It has been revealed that Jeffrey Epstein invested $40 million into Palantir chairman Peter Thiel's Valor Ventures, New York-based venture capital firm. The investments made during 2015-2016 have appreciated to an estimated value of 170 million, constituting the largest remaining asset in Epstein's estate. If he is he really dead? Is he, I don't know, some remote island looking at this and laughing? Wait, this is Peter Thiel. Is this thing a human? Like it's like a robot pretending to be a reptile, pretending to be a human. So WikiLeaks here is Palantir is engaged in a major expansion of the American surveillance state. Spyware company Palantir is engaged in large-scale data collection on American citizens, having taken on multiple contracts across federal government agencies with large holdings of private information. March 2025 executive order signed by Trump mandated all federal agencies to remove all barriers to intra and inter-agency sharing of unclassified records. At the same time, the administration is committing hundreds of millions of dollars to Palantir, a major intelligence contractor whose CEO Alex Karp told an investor call in February 2025. Palantir is here to disrupt and, when it's necessary, to scare our enemies and on occasion kill them. Okay. So who are the enemies? American people who don't go along with everything. Palantir's data analytics product Foundry is already installed within 4 federal agencies, including the Health and Human Services Department, the Department of Homeland Security, with talks underway with other agencies, including the IRS. Widespread deployment would give the administration unprecedented warrantless access to the private records of everyone in the United States. whether they are suspects in a criminal investigation or not. Okay, yeah. So apparently Epstein funded program, project, whatever, will have access to everybody's information in America. And it says here, Thiel took millions of dollars from the late pedophile sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. So yeah, and here it says defendant Musk lied publicly about his relations with Ghislaine Maxwell. That he said he doesn't know her at all, but they were what they were like some fucking judo yoga partners or whatever. I don't want to read that as too much distraction from the main issue. Is Peter Thiel actually the devil? So Peter Thiel's Palantir CIA front is harvesting American genetic data from sewers and running the CDC Center for Forecasting and Outbreak Analytics to help predict the next pandemic before it happens. Wonder why Palantir, Thiel, and Lonsdale are donating so much to Trump. If this is true, they're harvesting genetic data from the sewers and all that stuff is really creepy. It's like some dystopian sci-fi novel. I'm not sure if it's true, but it's disturbing. Today it was revealed that Jeffrey Epstein invested 40 million with Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel. Earlier this year, Thiel insisted that Epstein had absolutely nothing to do with Israel. Well, this stinks and it leads right to Trump. Skynet is real and is gay and is Jewish, I guess. So Jeffrey Epstein was Palantir's main funder. Palantir wants to make a kill list for American citizens. Trump partners with Palantir to give all our information to them. Elon now says Trump is blackmailed by Epstein. Is this all making sense now? Well, Elon says that Trump was blackmailed, or it doesn't mean that. Is Jake Shields suggesting that Elon knows that Epstein is alive or something? Because I should find out, because there was like some, soon after Epstein was supposedly killed, there was some senator or something who wrote like a really big, long thread on Twitter um, about just random crap. What he said wasn't that important, but like when you took the first letter from all of the tweets, it said something like Epstein is in Area 51 or something, which is crazy. But that actually happened. I do recall. I saw it. I should look it up at some point. But anyway, this is the Palantir news. So Epstein connection to Palantir. So it all goes full circle, and it's like, is Epstein gonna be the final boss all along? And then LA turns Mad Max. So actually, LA becomes sort of cool. So there's Los Angeles immigration protest clashes. What's the latest and the next? Blah blah. So there's the immigration. So there, ICE agents arresting illegals, and then there's people protesting, and now Trump is ordering a deployment of 700 Marines as well as 2,000 additional National Guard members there. And supposedly the Democrats are, of course, and yeah, well, here California Governor Gavin Newsom has said he will sue the Trump administration over its deployment of the National Guard without his approval. So basically, Gavin Newsom is fine that these illegals are running rampant in his state. Yeah, crazy stuff. Like, I don't know what the latest news were, how violent is it or anything, or is it dying down, or what exactly is going on, but it's just crazy. So yeah, Tom Homan, I don't know who he is, says National Guard will be deployed tonight to defend ICE agents in Los Angeles. Well, yeah, this is all news, but news anyways. And here, this moment, JD Vance quotes Trump, or moment calls for decisive leadership. The president will not tolerate rioting and violence. Once again, great American city Los Angeles had been invaded and occupied by illegal aliens and criminals. Now violent insurrectionist mobs are swarming and attacking our federal agents to try and stop our deportation operations, but these lawless riots only strengthen our resolve. I am directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Secretary of Defense Greg Hexat, Pan Bondi, blah blah blah, lots of people, so they're gonna do something about it. So I guess of course, it's good to take care of this matter, but people have been pointing out maybe this is to distract from Palantir or whatever, and also that Elon Musk accusing Trump. Maybe that's also to distract from Palantir or something else. Maybe there's something I haven't even heard about because of all these distractions. That's even more concerning. But anyway, here Elon Musk is responding to JD Vance, and Trump's going showing America flag, sort of showing I'm on the same side with you, Trump. Forget what I said about you. At least that's how it seems like to me. And here to Musk is sharing Trump quote. Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass should apologize to the people of Los Angeles for the absolutely horrible job that they have done. And this now includes the ongoing LA riots. These are not protesters, they are troublemakers and insurrectionists. Remember, no masks. Yeah, because now he's banning masks in the protests, or riots, whatever they are. And Laura Loomer here is saying the quiet part out loud. Time to deploy Palantir tech to Los Angeles to deal with illegals. You know you'd love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't. And Tony Moon, the one of the original rooftop Koreans, this is where it's going. Loomer, single, no kids. She doesn't have future gen that will deal with the repercussions. Only a dog. Yeah, it's a good point. Like maybe the Palantir tech would help solve this problem, but once it's grandfathered in, as they say, then it's easier to use it for other things when it's gonna, eventually it's gonna be used against you. And here, skip the National Guard, bring in the rooftop South Koreans. You called? See, it's very Mad Max with Mexico flag. I don't know. It's just silly. But the silliest part is that the authorities, the local authorities, don't really want to do anything about it. Like, when I was a kid, you always heard about police brutality and they're doing too much, but nowadays, when things happen, they don't really seem to be doing much to protect the normal citizens against criminals and stuff. And here is Pope Leo. Let us invoke the spirit of love and peace that he may open borders, break down walls, dispel hatred, and help us live as children of our one Father who is in heaven. Yeah, open borders. So it sounds like he's um, walking the path of his predecessor, and this Marxist open borders bullshit and stuff like this. And yes. And this is the president of Mexico, Shinebaum, something. What's her name? Is this Ian Carroll's girlfriend or another capitalist world leader? Yeah, because she has this red strap that Ian Carroll had that he supposedly got from his girlfriend's father, and it was trying to, make you ignore it. That it's no big deal. It's no capitalist bracelet, but it most likely is. Well, it is because we saw that it had even the eye, like that is some evil eye charm or something. And here, Mexico's president-elect just wait, is it president-elect? Isn't she the president already? If necessary, we'll mobilize. We don't want taxes and remittances from our fellow countrymen from the U.S. to Mexico. So as head of state openly calling for protest in the U.S., this is unprecedented. Jewish. Well, it is a fact that she is Jewish. It's interesting that Mexico, that is, um, I don't know how many, let's say 80% Catholic. They happen to have a Jewish president who is probably less than 1%. of the population, and also also the election where she was elected, there was like lots of like candidates were killed. I think it's like 20 or something. So it's a bit questionable how she got into office in the first place. And maybe Trump should start regime change in Mexico against the evil dictator who's very anti-American, clearly. Okay, let's move on to new stories though. So Israel delenda est. Israel has to be destroyed. I'm talking about the political entity, not the people. Yada yada. Okay, so Greta Thunberg was on the ship trying to bring help to Gaza, and then she was intercepted by the Israeli forces, IDF. And here it says Sweden's Foreign Minister Maria Malmer Stenergard said that Greta Thunberg and 11 other activists illegally detained by Israeli forces are not in danger and do not require consular support. And according to this guy, Sweden abandons Greta Thunberg. But no, I don't think they actually did abandon her, because. And there's this guy, Dave Portner. He wants to kill Greta and then jail anyone who critical of his crimes. So, okay, let's see what he says.
Gaza, we can do unmanned. You can be live in Gaza.
Jump on Greta Van Forsten or whatever that girl. She's sailing there, like whoever that fucking. I hope they hit a fucking like a missile on her boat.
Well, I hope they hit a missile.
So he wants to missile her
If you
boat.
just want me to ignore it,
Don't tell me to shut up.
shut the fuck up, you bald fuck.
Okay, go ahead.
How's that?
Oh, it's kill. I'll never recover from that, Dave. Go ahead, continue. I'll never recover.
Well, you're the one who like, oh, big boss man, don't tell. I'll tell you, you work for me.
Okay, go ahead,
You
continue.
little bitch, you work for me.
Sure, you bet. For now,
Oh, you
continue.
don't? For now, quit. I don't
Well,
care.
is this
Get on with it.
Is this show or not a show? Like, is it a show or not a show? Like, we can't have a conversation?
You're an idiot.
Okay, continue.
You're literally saying people should be allowed to make Jew jokes, say whatever they want right fucking now. That's
Yes,
what
I
you're
think people
saying.
should be allowed to make jokes.
So how many motherfucking Jews have to be killed before you stop?
So yeah, you can make jokes about shooting civilians in ships with missiles, but you cannot make shoot jokes, even non-violent ones, apparently, according to this guy. And you wonder why so-called anti-Semitism is on the rise, because shut up, a fucking piece of shit. Just I don't wanna. Okay, I don't wanna.
She's sailing there, like whoever that fucking. I hope they hit a fucking like.
Okay, fuck you, fucking piece of shit software. Why? Don't fucking autoplay this bullshit. I'm getting pissed off. I had to close it down. Okay, anyways. Podcaster and comedian Theo Von tells Vice President J.D. Vance that the United States is complicit in the Gaza genocide, stating sometimes it feels like we look out for for the interests of Israel before America. And JD responds by denying it's a genocide, claiming the Trump administration has been attacked for attempting to engage in diplomacy, then shift the subject to Biden and Ukraine. Yeah, that's a good summary. Let's watch a part of this video.
Talk,
Yeah.
but it's like you can't. I don't understand how it becomes like tough for people. Like sometimes it feels like we look out for the interests of Israel before we look out for the interests of America.
So let me say a couple things. So number one, like I think you're a great dude, so we don't always have to agree on everything. Do I think it's a genocide? No. And here's the reason why I don't think it's a genocide, because I don't think that the Israelis are purposely trying to go in and murder every Palestinian. I don't think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, they don't try to murder every. It's like only 90%, so it's not genocide. That's not how it works.
I think they got hit hard, and I think they're trying to sort of destroy this terrorist organization. And war is hell, and that is true. I also think it's true, man. I mean, I've seen people on my side of the political aisle. I'm a Republican.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, and yeah, then he actually does shift the subject to Biden and Ukraine. So he doesn't answer it. So it's, silence is agreement, basically. And yeah, IDF has taken Greta Thunberg. However, Now it's reported that Greta Thunberg has been deported from Israel. So, okay, I assume she's been sent back to Sweden, which is, I guess, a fate worse than death. But, if she's native, maybe she can deal with it. But it is weird, like seeing me, support Greta Thunberg and something after all those years of having to watch her on media, mainstream media, and praise her for dumb propaganda. And I'm not saying like this flotilla or whatever, it's the greatest thing ever, but anything that's anti-Israel is there's some redeeming quality to it. So yeah, here's the JD Vance quote. I don't think Israel is trying to deliberately kill every Palestinian, so I don't see what's happening as genocide. This is like, sometimes JD Vance says some, pretty base things, but it's hard to take him seriously. Like either he's very dishonest or he's a puppet. So, anyways, it's hard to respect him and take him seriously after bullshit like this. Oops. A reminder that JD Vance is not beholden to Peter Thiel in any way. Thiel got him a job, funded his VC firm, donated $15 million to his PAC, secured Trump's endorsement and the VP nomination for Vance just because he believed in him. Yeah, good point, I guess, if this is true, that this Thiel has done all these things for Vance. Canada has opened war crimes investigations into dual Canadian Israeli citizens who have participated in the IDF operations in Gaza. That sounds like good. Usually these dual citizens, they don't get punished or anything. They don't get called out. So hey, maybe the idea of annexing Canada to the United States is a good idea. Hear me out, because like if it becomes the 51st state of United States, then they can adopt this policy in all of America. Even the Congress and the Senate and all those, like they can also look into these dual citizens and what kind of crimes they are complicit in. So hey, Canada is doing something good for once. And here is Iran's IRIB state TV announces that Iran has obtained several thousands of extremely sensitive Israeli intelligence files and data, including highly classified documents relating to its nuclear program at Dimona. The operation was carried out several months ago by Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and the IRGC intelligence organization, employing spies directly inside Israeli territory who retrieved the data and made sure it was transferred to secure locations in Iran. The retrieved material consists of documents, images, videos, metadata, files, and other data. I think I reported on something like this like a few months ago already, unless this is a different thingy. But yeah, it's not clear like what practical information they have, like how does it actually help them against Israel. And if Iran doesn't like Israel, there can't be that bad, right? And crazy things are happening in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott is backing a measure that would force Texas residents to cover $4 million in local taxes specifically to fund Israel. Those opposing it are called anti-Semitic. America has gone crazy. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna watch the videos already. This stream has gone on so long enough, so try to make it quick. So rabbis in Israel raped and tortured dozens of young girls in Jerusalem. This was done as a religious ceremony including blood, animal sacrifice, and the rape of children. And this has been ongoing and covered up by police for decades. The survivors testified to Knesset about childhood sexual abuse network in Israeli religious ceremonies. Yeah, it's disturbing stuff if this is true. Okay, let's go to the next story then. So Israel delenda est. And I'm gonna pour myself some water. Be right back. All right, I have water. So this is just some upheaval from the British Isles, from UK and Ireland. Some stories. Oops. So white British students are now the minority in 1 in 4 schools in England, official data has revealed. So it's 25% of schools are minority white in England. So I guess Wales and Scotland not included, or Northern Ireland. So yeah, it's a bit disturbing, I guess. And all right, and the police come to your door at 1 a.m. with this. So let's read. Charlie Weech. Charles Weech. Should I know this name? Maybe not. So this is a letter. Let's see. I guess it's better to read it like this. I can see it. No notice of threat to personal safety. So this is supposedly from police to some private citizen. I don't know if this is fake or not, but let's see. Notice of threat to personal safety. Mr. Charles Weath, I am in receipt of the following information which suggests that your personal safety is now in danger. I stress that I will not under any circumstances disclose to the basis of this information, and whilst I cannot comment on the reliability or otherwise of the substance of or content of this information, I have no reason to disbelieve the information provided. I am not in receipt of any other information in relation to this matter. Do I have any direct involvement in this case? Greater Manchester Police have received intelligence which suggests that a group of males are planning to attack you on Saturday, 7th June 2025. So that was this weekend, was in Manchester city centre. This attack could result in serious injury. Although Greater Manchester Police will take what steps it can to minimize the risk, the police cannot protect you from this threat on a day-by-day, hour-by-hour basis. I also stress that the passing of this information by me in no way authorizes you to take any action which would place you in contravention of the law. E- Example, carrying weapons for defense, assault, or on others, breaches of public order. And should you be found to be so committing, you will be dealt with accordingly. I therefore suggest that you take such remedial action as you see fit to increase your own safety measures, avoiding Manchester city centre over the weekend of the 7th and 8th June. House burglar amongst change of daily routines. Always walk with an associate. Carry a mobile phone. Install domestic CCTV door guard system. Increase house security measures, locks and bolts. It may even be that you decide it is more appropriate for you to leave the area for the foreseeable future. That is a matter for you to decide. It is with this in mind that Greater Manchester Police advise you to give serious consideration to taking protection of the Northwest Witness Protection Services immediately coming of any social media, and particularly refrain from posting on Facebook anything that divulges the current or future whereabouts of you and your family. If you wish to provide me with details of the address which you will be resident, I will ensure that the necessary service can be undertaken by police staff to advise you regarding the above safety measures. I would also ask you to contact police regarding any suspicious incidents associated with this threat. So MPs of officers, so Greater Manchester Police. So is this? I don't know if this is some weird joke or hoax or what. So this is this guy Charlie Weath. So okay, so there's a group of men that might want to do violence to him. I suspect they are of, let's say, mm, Pakistani ethnicity or something, if that's true. But this is like and this might be fake. This might be some weird hoax or joke. But the thing is that I believe that something like this might happen in current year UK, and that's the sad and the funny part at the same time. That the cops are saying like, yeah, your life might be in danger, but we can't do anything about it, and also you can't do anything about it. Like you can't actually defend yourself. Like you should just piss off or hide, and good luck with that. Um, yes, this is, I don't know. Maybe I will get an update on that. And there's Caroline Farrow saying this thread will probably get me arrested, but I don't care because someone has to say it. The UK is now investigating people worried about mass immigration as potential terrorists, not jihadis, not hate preachers, concerned parents, ordinary Brits. So read it yourself. The Telegraph prevent the UK's anti-terror program is flagging Brits who express concern about mass immigration, not incitement, not violence, just concern. That is now a warning sign for extremism. Yeah, but the question is like, why haven't the Brits done anything like a decade or two ago? Like it's been obvious the country has been headed in this direction, although like it's even more retarded than most people could have seen. But it's not like it came out of nowhere. Anyways, Orwell wasn't fiction; it was a manual. War is peace, freedom, and slavery. Concern is extremism. Welcome to Britain, 2025. Rules are upside down. Question immigration, you're radicalized. Mention grooming gangs, you're hateful. Love your country, you're far right. You're a threat now. Meanwhile, hate preachers tolerated, open borders praised, national identity erased, real threats ignored. This isn't safety, it's control. You're not allowed to ask, where did my culture go? Why are my cities unrecognizable? Why is the truth now dangerous? Because you're not supposed to notice. I might get a knock on the door for this thread, but if we all speak out, what can they do? If caring about your kids' future makes you a terrorist, then we are governed by extremists. If this terrifies you, retweet, quote tweet, they're afraid of the truth, screenshot this, blah blah. Okay. Yeah. Reminder that Winston Churchill betrayed Europe, and now you see the fruition of it. Perhaps I'm not gonna get into that right now. Let's see what else do we have. Okay, now we go to Ireland. So Ireland is on the brink of becoming the first country in Europe to plunge into a full-blown civil war over immigration. The government and police are struggling to maintain order in major cities, and as protest and acts of civil disobedience escalate, the Irish have had enough. So yeah, this? There's some random cops and hullabaloo, whatever. But yeah, I don't know if this British patriot how accurate his information is. Like if he's embellishing it, but like it would be interesting to see a civil war in Ireland over this matter. Like they're actually doing something else instead of just voting. And of course, civil wars are not nice. They lead to a lot of casualties, and also the wrong side might end up winning. So but at least if the people are doing something about their predicament, that's step in the right direction. I guess I have to say that. So Ireland just erupted over mass migration, sending a message to the far left government: send them home. Yeah, Ausländer raus. Sorry, they're not speaking German, alas. All right, and then finally, let's get to the entertainment news, gaming and entertainment news. Don't have that much, but few stories here, so let's have a look. So Ryan Gosling Black Panther is now real. Well, not quite, but getting there. So there's like the Marvel comics, the new Black Panther is actually a white character. So Marvel Comics introduces T'Challa's white son Katima as future Black Panther, and so now I have like it's probably I don't really care about outside that this old meme, like this is an old meme, but it's a good one. It checks out. But uh, a response to all this race swapping. So why can't Panther be a white guy, or Ryan Gosling? But anyway, so I presume that this white Black Panther in the comics is gonna be some usurper bad guy trying to take hold of Wakanda by nefarious means, and then the good guy has to beat his ass, and then it's gonna be a Black Panther again. But just for the memes, I do appreciate this. That I don't care much about Marvel comics, especially nowadays, but this is an interesting development. So kudos to Marvel for that. So yeah, this is just the same story, and then story from It's a Gundam. New York Federal Reserve finds a significant share of companies saying they raised prices on goods not affected by tariffs. So yeah, this every fucking consumer. I hate the term, but since that's the term they use for us, let's be consumers and let's be smart consumers. Is that we should know that the companies will use any excuse of any kind of crisis to raise prices. That's like I remember like 20 years ago there was some storms that sort of affected some oil drilling platforms, and then they had to like, oh my god, there was a little bit of storm. Our oil drilling platform sort of shook in the water, so now we have to raise gas prices, and gas prices of course affects almost everything else. So, and it sounded like bullshit back then already, and it's so bullshit. Like, yeah, like this. They raised prices on goods, and wasn't affected by tariffs. It's just because they want your money, and dumb consumers are too happy to consume. But hey, some good news. Ray Ayanami's voice actor calls Chinese people and other immigrants invasive species like crayfish. Um, there are so many people from overseas, including myself, who love Megumi Hayase, but yet you're being compared to an invasive species of crayfish. Okay, legal mindset here points out not what the article says at all. She actually presents a nuanced take on specific issues, not blanket condemnation. So maybe she's less based, but still, at least if she's, critical of immigration. Like, hey, I'm a fucking immigrant in Hong Kong, so it's not like I'm against immigration. But nowadays, because everything is so oversimplified, either you have to say yes or no. So yeah, it's of course like it's good to criticize immigration because there's difference between mass immigration promoted by all major governments and corporations, and then immigration by regular people to different countries. There's a big difference. And of course, especially like regular people, if they follow the laws and stuff of the country, that's a good thing. Whereas many of these mass immigrants, they don't really have to follow the laws, like in LA right now. Ray Ayanami's voice actress under fire for a blog post. She expressed sadness over Japan's indifference to itself and called for stricter control of troublesome foreigners, warning that Japan's identity and anime culture may disappear. Yeah. Well, yeah, especially like it's not just because of yeah, troublesome foreigners. I guess she's probably referring to how Western monetary interests want to affect anime to make it more appropriate for the quote unquote modern audience, and that will make anime disappear unless they fight against it, or at least pervert anime into something truly horrible. And okay, Final Fantasy Tactics is gonna have a remaster or something, and apparently it has de novo, which is bad, so I definitely won't be buying it. I have the PlayStation, the Japanese version, but I haven't really played it. But at some point, I should really play it because this is another game that was never released in Europe back in the day. And I was pissed already back in the 90s. I do remember reading about it on the internet back in the 90s. That, ooh, why is this game exist, but I can't play it. Anyways, and here it says Final Fantasy Tactics will have adjustments to the story. Ethics department strikes again. So the enhanced version features a renewed interface, extensive additions and adjustments to the story, fully voiced dialogue, and much more. Adjustments to the story sounds really bad. Of course, it's not clear yet what kind of adjustments, but better to assume worst. And okay, the Outer Worlds 2 is coming out. No, it's October. Okay, it's still gonna be several months, as if I care. But so Angry Joe saying, do not buy Outer Worlds 2 for $80. Instead, get it on Game Pass as it will be on service at launch. But here Grams is being quite based. This is the whole strategy. They want you on Game Pass instead. They want you renting, not buying. Exactly. I fucking hate this Game Pass idea. Like, if you like, yeah, I also hate paying $80 or even $50 for games. So either I wait a couple of years to get them on a sale, or if you can't wait or whatever, then maybe just hi ho and put an iPad and a peg leg. That's more moral in my opinion than giving these corporations your hard-earned cash, or maybe it's easily earned cash. So yeah, it's just Mario Kart. It was never going to be just Mario Kart. If you bought Switch 2, this is on you. This franchise isn't even worth $50. Yeah, probably. But Fake Wizard has a good point. Like, if you bought Switch 2, this is on you. Like, yeah, people who bought Switch 2 should be shamed for either bad impulse control or simply apathy. Like, they have no no concern for, like, anything except, like, ooh, must consume, must, show on social media how I consumed and brag about it. It's disgusting. Okay, and but this is, hey, something positive happening in the gaming sphere. So Relooted is a heist game about reclaiming African artifacts from Western collections, which are said to hold 90% of sub-Saharan African cultural heritage. So let's have a look at the video. So a new woke action game on Epic Game Store, even better. As if I was gonna buy it, but it's on Epic Game Store, So you're a black guy or a black woman breaking into museums and stuff, and look at these characters, and then you steal and loot artifacts. This is, I guess, a proper racist couldn't have done a better parody of this than these wokies, assuming it is actually genuine and this isn't a parody. And okay, just to address the issue of the, like, sure, there is some criticism to be said that European countries did take a bunch of artifacts from Africa, Middle East, the rest of the world, and that to a certain degree that's that is a not commendable action. Then on the other hand, there is the argument that if they weren't these are ancient artifacts weren't brought to, like, London or Paris and stuff, they would have been just left to rot, or looters or whatever, like they would have just taken some ancient statue and turned it into whatever, like their hack it into pieces to build to like fix the hole in their house or whatever. So it is like it did preserve, like, sure, it is, I guess you can criticize it a bit for them to taking the artifacts away from the countries of origin, but at least it preserved the history, so that's good. Looks like Switch 2's battery life is bad. Oh my god, you bought this and then the battery doesn't work, so sad. So Switch 2 battery reportedly lasting under 2 hours. Well, Switch 2 battery 2 hours makes sense. So with Mario Kart, how is yours holding up? I don't know. I don't have a Switch 2 and I definitely don't want one. Like, if I'm gonna buy a new console, I'm gonna buy a Steam Deck. Like, the biggest problem with Steam Deck is I still need to have time to actually play with it. Um, and it took 12 hours for Switch to be hacked. So that's good, I guess. If, like, okay, if Switch 2 can be hacked and it can be used for all sorts of fun stuff, that might be the only proper reason to buy a Switch 2. But of course they're gonna, update it and stuff. But hey, maybe if you don't update it and stuff. So I don't know, like, because the Wii, I have the Wii. I haven't played with it in a while, but anyways, overall the Wii wasn't that great a gaming console. Like not that many good games, but because you could install the homebrew channel and all sorts of emulators and other crap, like custom made crap, that made it worthwhile. You could play. I could play Micro Machines 2 Turbo Tournament on the Mega Drive with my friends in 4 people. That was quite fun and crap like that. Anyways, here it says Mario Kart World is $120. I'm not sure if this is USD or Australian or Canadian dollars or whatever, but I just want to point out the entitled attitude. Even though I'm against Nintendo Switch 2, I'm not. I don't agree with this person who is saying that you should riot over this price. Like, how about just stay away, don't touch Switch 2. You can do it. You can live without playing any new Bing Bing Wahoo games. Like you can. You don't have to be addicted to this stuff. Like, but I guess this is like crack for some people. Like, I can understand being addicted to video games, but like, okay, if because I do consider what Nintendo has been doing lately is very offensive, like a direct insult towards me. So even if I was a freaking millionaire, I wouldn't buy their crap because I found their stuff offensive. So just find another gaming system to play with. Anyways, and then there's this. The fact that Nintendo had to provide clarification below the options only serves to demonstrate how ridiculous and all this avoidance of using terms male and female truly is. So yeah, Nintendo Mii's are post-gender on Switch too, so they are genderless. Like even though it's clearly male and female, but I guess they cannot say male and female. It's well, it still says some games may use style as gender indication or indicator, but and it's like I've heard this sort of stuff being called gender affirming, but that's the complete opposite. It's not gender affirming; it's gender erasing. And why do you have to erase your biological sex? Like only freaks that have problems with basic reality and biology have an issue with it. And why is Nintendo going along with it now that the rest of the world is getting sick of this stuff? Like, what the fuck are they thinking? And the last story is a trigger warning preface added to George Orwell's book 1984, labeling protagonist Winston Smith problematic and suggesting readers may find his views on women despicable. Okay, I guess I have to agree that he certainly comes off as quote unquote misogynistic, but it sorry, it is interesting that this is or maybe emblematic that this is the biggest issue that the modern establishment has with the book, not the you know big brother state that is controlling pretty much everything, but that somebody has wrong views about women, like absolute tyranny. Fine, having let's say uncharitable views towards women, that's unforgivable. But anyways, that's it for this week. I'm Adventure Argonaut, and do I have any summary? Oh yeah, Elon Musk. I do. I am interested to follow up on how does the saga of the grudge match between Elon Musk and Trump continue. Like, will they just sweep it under the rug, or will Elon chimp out again, or spurg out again, or what? And I should point out that all these politicians and other people who aren't continuously calling out for the Epstein files to be released and the Ghislaine Maxwell clients to be arrested and all that stuff, these people are complicit in one way or another in the crimes if they don't do anything to speak out or to get the culprits to justice. But anyways, I'm Adventure Argonaut. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.